A new dawn. Months had passed since Mark Reynolds' conviction. The media storm had subsided, but its impact had left an indelible mark on the community and the nation. The Daniels family, though still healing, had become a symbol of change. Jamal, now 6 years old, was slowly reclaiming his childhood. His parents had taken him to therapy, where he learned to process the fear and confusion he had experienced. Though the nightmares of the arrest still lingered, they became less frequent. His mother, Lisa, refused to let her son's trauma be in vain. Through Jamal's voice, the organization she and Chief Inspector Daniels founded, they worked tirelessly to reform policing policies, advocating for mandatory racial bias training and the implementation of body cameras in all local precincts. Their efforts had already led to the firing of several officers with histories of misconduct, ensuring that what happened to Jamal would never happen again. Meanwhile, Mark Reynolds had been released from his court-mandated community service. His badge and gun were gone, his career in law enforcement over. His life had crumbled, but for the first time, he saw the world with unclouded eyes. The protests that had once called for his resignation had died down, but he still felt the weight of judgment wherever he went. Parents pulled their children closer when he walked by. Former colleagues refused to meet his gaze. His own family had disowned him, unable to look past what he had done. But amidst the wreckage of his life, Mark found himself drawn to Jamal's voice. At first, it was curiosity. He wanted to see how the Daniels family was using his downfall to push for reform. But the more he listened to their speeches, the more he realized how deeply he had been part of the problem. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Mark stood outside the doors of a Jamal's Voice town hall meeting. His hands trembled as he debated whether to enter. Eventually, he took a deep breath and stepped inside. The room fell silent as people recognized him. Lisa, standing at the front, narrowed her eyes. Chief Daniels, arms crossed, said nothing, but his expression was unreadable. "I don't belong here," Mark admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I need to be here." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some looked at him with contempt, others with curiosity. Lisa stepped forward. "Why?" Mark swallowed hard. "Because I want to understand. Because I need to do better." Silence stretched between them. Then, after what felt like an eternity, Lisa motioned to an empty chair. "Then sit, listen, learn." That night, for the first time in his life, Mark listened not as a cop, not as a man trying to defend himself, but as a human being grappling with the consequences of his own hate, healing, and justice. Over the next year, Jamal's voice grew into a national movement. Cities across the country adopted its principles, leading to meaningful policy changes. Schools incorporated racial bias education into their curriculums. Police departments revamped their training programs, and communities came together to foster understanding. Mark never asked for forgiveness. He knew he didn't deserve it. Instead, he worked quietly behind the scenes, attending meetings, volunteering, learning. He never expected Lisa or Chief Daniels to accept him, but he hoped that one day he could make a difference in a way that truly mattered. As for Jamal, his story became a beacon of resilience. One day, when he was older, he would fully understand the impact he had made on the world. But for now, he was just a boy, playing in the park, laughing freely just as he always should have been. And that was enough. The end.